Assalamu alaikum, dear students, and welcome back to our course of Tajweed. This is the third class of the course of Tajweed. Last class we explained the first rule of the rules of Noon, Sakinah, and Tanween, which was the rule of Idhar, and today, inshallah, we're explaining the second rule, which is the Idgham rule. So let's get started. So Idgham or Al-Idgham in Arabic means to merge or to mixing or merging two letters together to come up with a one mushaddad letter. How do we do this? Let's know. So the idgham practically means to replace the first letter with a second letter, or replace the first part with a second part. And we already know from the introduction video what is meant by the first part and what is meant by the second part. The first letter or the first part is the Noon Sakinah or Tanween. Okay, and the second letter or the second part is that specific letter following this Noon Sakinah or that Tanween, right? For example, for this one here, this example is من يقول من يقول. Okay, so how do we apply the idgham rule here? How do we replace the first part with the second part? Let's see. First of all, the first part is this noon here. This noon is the first part, and this ya following the noon directly is the second part, or the second part. It's not second here, it's the second part. So I have first part noon second, and we have the second part, which is ya. Okay, now the steps. What we're gonna do, we're gonna replace this noon sakina, which is the first part, with a ya sakina, which is the second part. Okay, so remove this noon sakina, replace it with a ya sakina, which is the second part. Okay, so now the outcome will be may yaqul. Two ya letters. Now we don't have any noon. How do we pronounce this example right now? It will be من يقول. You do not hear any noon sound. You just hear a nasal sound. And I will tell you what is this nasal sound in a moment. But this is not a noon. Okay, I'm not pronouncing a noon. I'm just pronouncing a ya mushaddada. Ya with a shaddad. Because actually, you know that this is a ya sakina and the following ya is ya with a fatha. So the combination of the ya sakina with the ya with a fatha gives us a ya mushaddada. Okay, gives us a ya with a shadda. Okay, so this example is pronounced may yaqul, no noon pronounced, and this is what's meant by the idgham or the merging. Take care. This is a noon, okay, sakina. This is the first part, and this is a ya mutaharrika. This is the second part, and combining these two letters together, giving us a ya mushaddad. Okay. There is an important thing to know that this example written down here is not how it's written in Quran. This is just to show how to pronounce the word. Okay, the word is written as it was written on the top here, man, and then yaqul with the noon written. Okay, we're not replacing the noon with a ya in Quran. We're writing the whole example as it is. But these steps are just to show how to pronounce the example, right? So we're pronouncing it man yaqul, right? Okay, now let's move on to the specific letters. We have 6 specific letters for idgham, exactly as we had for the idhar, which were 6 letters as well, right? The 6 specific letters for the idgham are ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and noon, and they are collected in just one word, which is the word yarmuluna. Okay, the word yarmuluna. So we have the 6 specific letters of idgham collected in one word, yarmuluna. If we find any one of them after the noon sakina or tanween directly, we'll apply the rule of idgham. What is the rule of idgham? Is to mix the two letters together, the two parts together, the first part and the second part, to get a one mushaddad letter. Which, how do we apply this rule? Practically, we'd replace the first part with the second part. Okay? And now let's study the types of idgham. So basically, you have two types of idgham: idgham with ghunna and idgham without ghunna. Okay, so idgham with ghunna is the applying the previously explained rules of idgham with applying the ghunna. So we have to know what is meant by ghunna. Ghunna is basically a nasal sound that is generated and it stays for, we can say 2 beats time. It's not the most precise thing to say 2 beats time, but we can, for simplicity, say that the time of the ghunna is 2 beats time, holding the nasal sound for 2 beats time. Okay, and actually this time of the ghunna becomes more or less with depending on the speed of the recitation. If you're reciting fast, So the time of the gunna will be less. If you're reciting slowly, the time of the gunna will be more. Okay, so it depends on the speed of the recitation. But generally, we can say that the time of the gunna is 2 beats time. As this example here, من يقول من يقول. So this nasal sound that you are hearing is not the noon. As we said, the noon is cancelled in the application of idgham. But this nasal sound is the gunna that is generated with some letters of idgham. Okay? So this is the gunna. When we pronounce it, we say من يقول. Right? So in which letters specifically we are applying this idgham with gunna? Basically, we said that the specific letters of idgham are these 6 letters that are collected in the word yarmuluna. Ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and then noon. Out of these 6 letters, we are taking 4 letters. Ya, waw, noon, and then mim. They are collected in just one word, which is yanmu. Ya, noon, mim, waw. Okay? Yanmu. These are the 4 letters that are specific for idgham with ghunna. So if any one of these letters came after the noon sakina or the tanween, directly we're applying the idgham with ghunna. We're making the ghunna with the idgham. We're making this nasal sound when we are pronouncing the example. And now we came to the last part of this section, which is idgham with ghunna. The examples. Okay, so now we have examples with idgham with ghunna. We have examples for all the 4 rules specific for idgham with gunna, ya, noon, mim, and waw. Okay, just we'll practice with the first 2 letters, ya and mim, and then we'll leave the second 2 letters, noon and waw, for you to test yourself. And if you find any problem, you can contact me, inshallah. Okay, so the first example is here, this one. حسابا يسيرا. Okay, حسابا يسيرا. So here we have a tanween fath. Okay, and this tanween is followed by a ya letter, and this ya is one of the specific letters of idgham with gunna. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna apply the idgham with gunna. Idgham is to replace the first part with the second part. So we're replacing the tanween with the ya sakina, and then combining them together to be ya mushaddada. So we're not pronouncing any noon sakina here. The nasal sound here is the gunna. حسابا يسيرا. Okay, this is the first example. The second one, أن يفقهوه أن يفقهوه. So here we didn't pronounce any noon sakina. Okay, we didn't pronounce any noon sakina. The nasal sound is just the one. And then we pronounced 2 ya letters because we replaced this noon with a ya sakina. Replace the first part with the second part. So we said أن يفقهوه. And remember to hold the gunna for some time, approximately for 2 beats. Okay. Now the second letter, which is the meme. بسلطان مبين. بسلطان مبين. So here we have a tanween kasr. So remember, in this case, when we have a tanween kasr or a tanween dam, what was the first part? The first part in the rule was the second kasra. If you remember from the introduction video, the first part, I mean, the first part is the second kasra. So the first part is not this noon, is not the whole letter noon. No, the noon is a letter from the basis of the word. But the first part here is just the second kasra, which represents the tanween. So we just replace this second kasra with a second letter, which is a meme sakina. Combining the meme sakina with meme with a dhamma gives us meme with a shadda. So what we're gonna say is بسلطان مبين. So we pronounced a meme mushaddada. We didn't pronounce any noon sound. Just we make the nasal sound to apply the ghunna, because this is an idgham with ghunna example, right? The last one here, amman, amman. So here I also didn't pronounce any noon. I just pronounced the noon sakina. I just pronounced a ghunna sound. I'm sorry. I just pronounced a nasal sound, which is the ghunna sound, because this is idgham with ghunna. And I pronounced a meme mushaddada, because we replaced the noon with the meme sakina, combined the 2 letters together to be meme mushaddada. This is the meaning of idgham. Okay? Now let's move into the second type of idgham, which is idgham without ghunna. The first type was idgham with ghunna. We were applying idgham with applying ghunna, but this one is idgham without ghunna. We're applying just idgham, not applying ghunna. Okay? So, what are the specific letters of this type of idgham? When do we apply this idgham without ghunna? Basically, we know that the specific letters for idgham generally are collected in the word yarmuluna. These six letters, ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, and nun. Out of this word, we took the four letters specific for idgham with ghunna, which were collected in the word yanmu, ya, nun, mim, waw. They were specific for idgham with ghunna. This leaves us with just two letters, ra and lam, which are specific for idgham without ghunna. So if we saw lam and ra existing after the nun sakina or the tanween, we're applying idgham, but with not applying ghunna. We're not applying ghunna in this case, okay? Just idgham, just replacing the first part with the second part, okay? So now it leaves us with the lam and ra. Let's see some examples on this type of idgham, idgham without ghunna. The first example is this one here. Mir rabbihim, mir rabbihim. So here you are not hearing noon letter, and you're not hearing any nasal sound. It's just a ra with a shid. Mir rabbihim, mir rabbihim. Okay? No nasal sound and no noon pronounced. This is the idgham without ghunna. Second example, غفور رحيم, غفور رحيم. So I'm not replacing the ra. Take care. It's so important. I'm not replacing the ra. I'm replacing the second dhamma, which represents the tanween. Okay? I'm replacing this second dhamma with a ra sakina, combining the ra sakina with the ra with a fatha, giving us a ra with a shadda. This is how do we apply the idgham in case of tanween. غفور rahim. I'm here pronouncing the ra of the word غفور and pronouncing the ra mushaddada of the word rahim. غفور rahim. Okay? So important example. This one here. من لدنا, من لدنا. So between the first and the second part, you're not hearing a noon sound and you're not hearing a nasal sound. It's so important. Okay? Last example. غفار لمن, غفار لمن. So it's so important as well. We're replacing the second dhamma. We're not replacing the ra. We're replacing the second dhamma with the lam sakina. Leaves us with a lam mushaddada. غفار لمن. And now with the last part of today's class. It's so important note, so please take care of it. Okay? This note says that the idgham rule cannot be applied in one word. It has to be existing between two different words. Okay? For example, this one here, this example here, the word min wali, right? Min wali. As you can see here, the noon sakina exists in the end of the first word, min, and then the waw, which is the specific letter, exists at the beginning of the second word, wali. This is so important. You have to, if you are going to apply the idgham rule, it should be this way. The noon is in a word and the specific letter in a different word. They cannot be existing in just one word. If they existed in a word like this one here, qinwan, here you can find the noon sakina followed by a waw as well, but this time they are in just one word. So what will we do in this example? How do we pronounce it? We pronounce it as a clear noon. We'll do the ilhar rule for it. Okay, we'll make it a clear noon. We'll pronounce it qinwan, qinwan with no merging, no idgham. So this is an important note. Okay, if the noon sakina and tanween or tanween, actually we cannot do this with tanween because tanween is basically at the end of the word. So this mistake can just occur with the noon sakina, okay? So if the noon sakina and the specific letter were in one word, we cannot apply the rule of idgham. If they were separated, they were in two different words, the noon is at the end of the first word and the specific letter is at the beginning of the second word. In this case, we can apply the rule of idgham. This is so important. Take care of it. And now with the last part of today's class, how are the noon sakina and tanween written in case of idgham? Let's start with the noon sakina. It's written that way here. The noon sakina is written bare of any signs. It doesn't carry any sign, doesn't carry sukoon, and doesn't carry anything. Just a bare noon. Okay, this is the noon sakina in case of idgham. Now for the tanween. We have the Tanween Fath to slanted Fatha. Okay, they are not 100% parallel as we saw in the Idgham rule in the previous class. It's now slanted Fatha to slanted Kasra as well, and to separated Dhamma. They are not a Dhamma and it's covered like when we saw it in the Idgham rule. It's two separated Dhamma, right? So this is how the Nun Sakinah and the Tanween written in case of Idgham. And finally, brothers and sisters, Jazakumullah khairan for watching. May Allah accept from you. If you have any question regarding the topic that was explained today, just don't hesitate. Text me, inshallah, I'll be available at any time. You'll find the link at the description of the channel, and you're all welcome at any time. Assalamu alaikum.